Hello again, and welcome back to the last CERN Webfest how-to session. I'm very happy to see all of you joining us right now, as today we're going to talk about how to further proceed with the project idea. So dear participants, we of course do not want you to lose your ideas after the Webfest is over, but we want you to proceed with them, to further develop them, and how you can do it. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today with Silje. Silje, thank you so much for joining us. Silje represents a CERN Knowledge Transfer Group. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you, Anastasia.
So Silje, the floor is totally yours. Please go ahead. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. So hi, my name is Silje, and I work in the startup team at CERN. And we help potential entrepreneurs to go from having an idea to having a startup. And first of all, I want to say congratulations on completing the CERN Webfest. And now you have been working with your projects for a few days. And I hope that many of you think that your projects and your ideas are good ideas and that you want to see them implemented. So how do you continue working with your projects to make them become a reality? Maybe creating a startup could be one option. So today I want to give you a short overview of the first steps if you want to continue your projects as a startup. So I will just share my screen now. Hopefully you can see this. So, of course, there are other ways of continuing your projects than doing it as a startup, but I will focus on the startup part because that's where my expertise is. And there is no right or wrong way of doing this. Everything I say is just based on my personal experiences. Some of you may have a lot of knowledge about this already, while for others it's the first time you hear about it. So there are also plenty of other advice out there in online that you can read upon later. So today I want to focus on 4 concepts. First is the validation, talking to customers and users to validate if your idea is something that people would want to use. Then it's about developing a strategy. This is more on the business model and how you sell. Third is the team. The team is often the most important thing to focus on when it comes to execution. So look at how we can find the right people to work with. And then finally, some last words about funding, how to secure funding for your startup. So first, validation. Before going any step further, you should first evaluate if this idea and this project would work as a business, as a startup. Is this just an idea? Or could there be a business opportunity around your case? Now, what is a business opportunity? Well, a business opportunity, it needs to be attractive, that someone wants to use what you are developing and also pay for it. It should be a product or a service that you're offering to your customers. It also needs to have the right timing, because you can have a great idea for a startup, but if it's not the right timing, it might never work. An example here is Airbnb. People had this idea earlier, but it didn't work because people didn't want to rent out their homes to strangers. And then after the financial recession, people were more willing to do so because they needed extra money. And that was the right time where Airbnb could work. So timing is also really important. And then it needs to be connected to a sustainable business model and a strategy. It means that can your business survive over time? It's connected to the revenue stream, to your customers. And this doesn't mean that you need to have a large profit. It's also fine to be a nonprofit. But you will have costs associated with developing your idea further. And you need to make sure that these costs are covered by the revenue that you get in. And this can come from customers, it can come from donations and grants. The donations and grants, they will ever last so long. So money from customers is usually the best way there. So what do you evaluate to say if your idea can really be a business opportunity? First, is there a need? Is there a need for this product or service in the market? And who needs this? Then, is there a big enough market? How many want to use this product and service? And is this enough for your business to survive over time? Then, is there a scalable business model around your idea? Meaning that if you go from having 10 customers to 100 customers, would you then need to scale up your number of employees the same way? You don't have to, but it's nice for you to at least know and to evaluate in the beginning how feasible this idea is as a startup. And then, do you have a competitive advantage? Who are doing this already? Who are your competitors and what are they doing? And how can you differentiate yourself from them? This can be having technology that are proprietary or better. It can be having the best people that will develop this product. Or it can be that you have a unique insight into your customers or your market. And finally, is this the right timing? Are there certain trends now? Maybe there are some regulations coming. Is your industry or market in a transition into something new where they need to do some changes? All these are things that can have an impact on the timing to say whether the timing is right or wrong. And you evaluate this by customer feedback and more customer feedback and even more customer feedback. The only way you can figure out if your project is really a business opportunity is to talk to customers and get their feedback. So how do you do this? Well, you can of course reach your customers by mail, by surveys, maybe in other ways. The disadvantage of using email, and surveys is that it often takes a long time. How many of you haven't sent an email and waited for days to get a reply, or maybe you never got a reply? And the same with surveys. It's really challenging to reach out to more people than your closest friends, family, and how do you reach enough people? What I usually recommend when I talk to founders, when I mentor startups, is to call them, to call people. Then you get the immediate response and you can move on to the next person to contact. And not that many people do this, so when you call people, you have an immediate advantage right there. So who do you call? First of all, it's important to contact your users and your customers. And these two then don't have to be the same. It can be the same, but it doesn't really have to. If you're selling a product, for example, that has to be used by elderly in a nursing home, the users will be the elderly, but the customers could be the family members of the elderly, or maybe the institution, or the government, insurance companies. Users and customers, they don't always have to be the same person. And you should talk to both of them to figure out what are their needs. You should also talk to competitors to figure out what they're doing right. What are their plans for the future? Friends and family with knowledge is also really good to contact because they will help you no matter what. They may not have the answers that you're looking for, but they can put you in contact with a lot of relevant people. So you broaden up your network so much more by talking to the people you already know. Interest organizations and NGOs are also really good to contact because they will also help you in this process. They want to help solve problems for your users and your customers. Maybe they can get you in contact with some of them as well. And finally, partners. Maybe there are some organizations that you should partner with that can help you in the process. Maybe you want to contact them to figure out how this partnership may look in the future. So now you've gotten hold of them. And what do you talk about? It could be very tempting to start pitching your idea. Well, have a look at this sentence. If I offered you a wonderful product that would solve all of your problems, would you buy it? I would. Of course I would. You will get yes. When you say that I have this wonderful product for solving this specific problem, it's very easy for people to say that they like it. But does that mean that they will buy your product? Most likely, or often, they will not. It's very easy to say yes right now when they don't have to commit to anything. And that is bad for you if you then go home and produce the product, make the product, spend time on developing your product, and then nobody wants to buy it. So make sure that you don't get these false positives from your customers. Don't look for a yes from them. Look for insight. Maybe a better question could be, why would this idea not work? Or what is wrong with my product? Then you will get much better feedback that you can use to improve your product. Other questions to use or to ask could be, what are the challenges with your solutions today? How could new solutions solve this better? And how do you buy solutions like this? Who makes the decision of buying? Maybe they buy off tenders. Maybe they do these buying processes once per year if it's a large company. Or maybe there are some other processes that you should know of. It's good for you to know this early on so that you can plan for it. And again, remember that we are looking for ways to kill our ideas, our projects. We're not looking for doing sales right away because we want to improve the project. We want to get the insights. Because there are plenty of things that can go wrong in a startup. It could be the competitors, it can be the technical feasibility, interest from customers, your own motivation or your team's motivation. It could be the financials, the legal, the partners, so many things. And the idea here isn't to tell you that your ideas will never work. I'm sure your ideas and projects are great. But the fact is that maybe 9 out of 10 startups, they are not successful or they fail. And we want you to be successful. And by addressing these challenges early on, you have a much higher probability of being successful. So now you have validated that people want to use your product or service, that there is a market for it, and that the timing is right. And now you need to develop a strategy. And here comes the business model. Now, a business model is how a company creates, delivers, and captures value. And usually you can say that you either sell to a business, you're doing business to business or B2B, or you're selling to consumer, B2C. So you need to think of if you want to sell to a business or a consumer, and this will change your strategy and how you go about to sell your product as well. And then there are some more or less standard business models that are used, especially in software. It can be freemium models where you're offering the solutions for free for most of people, but then some people want to pay for the solution. This could be 2%, 5% maybe, and you will base all your revenue on those few paying customers. You can have a subscription. People pay for using your service. Maybe they pay once per month or once per year. You can have something called pay as you go, that you pay per usage. You pay the more you use, the more you pay. You can have a two-sided platform. This is the case with Airbnb, that they have people wanting to rent out their homes and they have people wanting to rent homes. And you're depending on both of them to make your solution work. You can have a software as a service, you can have ad revenue and other models as well. These are things to think of when you want to develop a strategy. And when you work on your business model, it's very common to use this business model canvas to map out your business model and your idea. Usually this is a great tool if you want to work on this strategy. And there are plenty of videos online that can show you how you can do this. Usually I usually start with the customer segment. Who are your customers? Right to the right there. And then you go to the value propositions. What kind of value do you provide to your customers? Then you can have a look at the channels. How do you reach your customers and how do you deliver these values to them? And to the left there, you can see what you're doing. What are your key activities and what kind of resources do you need to deliver this value to your customers? And then on the bottom there, you can see your revenue streams. How will you get revenue? And the cost structure as well. How much does it cost you to offer this value to your customers? What kind of people do you need to hire? Will there be other costs associated with developing a product? And this will change over time. Use this document as a working document. I would recommend spending maybe 5, 10, 20 minutes on this the first time. And then you can continue developing it further. You can use it to create some hypotheses and then go back to your customers to test these hypotheses and then come back to the business model canvas in developing it further. So this was about the business model and the strategy. Now you have a validated idea, you have a business model for your startup idea, and you know a bit more about what you need. Now, what kind of people do you need for your idea to work? You need to have the right expertise in the team. Technical expertise, people with knowledge about the industry. And this is, of course, very dependent on what kind of idea you're working with. What I usually recommend people is to look for team members with different skill sets, different personal characteristics and experiences. Maybe in your team you need someone with a technical expertise. You can match that with someone with industry knowledge or knowledge about customers or the markets. And also with someone who is good at selling your product or talking to people. And then the personal characteristics. Are you all extroverts? Are you all introverts? Maybe you mix someone with a structured mind with someone who is not that much structured. Usually you develop better products if you team up with people who are not that similar to yourself. You may have more discussions and spend more time on that, but at the end, you will most likely develop a better product. And I also like to think that there should be a reason why each team member is on the team. Not just because this person is your friend, but because this person has the right expertise or knowledge or interests. And you should also know each other well. Spend time together, both at work and social, to get to know each other. Learn each other's strengths and weaknesses so that you can build on that instead of having this as a surprise coming later on. Think of this team matching process as a dating process. Don't marry each other in the first week or first month, but spend time together to figure out if this partnership would work and if you can see yourself working together for the coming years. So where do you find your team members? Well, some of you have a team already. You can find them here at the CERN Webfest or at other events. You can also look for team members among your friends or acquaintances. The good thing here is that you already know them, so you don't have to spend that much time on getting to know them to learn their strengths and weaknesses. You can probably tell if you will work together well early on. You can also use your network, reach out to them to hear if they know of someone who can join your team. And you can also look for co-founders on co-founder platforms. And there are several of those, so you can just Google for that to see if you can find the co-founder platform where you can look for founders and team members. So this was the first 3 parts, and now comes the last part about funding. Now, this is a business slide, but I will take you through it. I just want to take you through the typical stages of a startup and the funding cycle for each of those. So in the table there, you see the stages for a startup. They don't have to be like this, but this is the usual way. First, you explore the concepts, and this is where most of you are now. Then you validate the idea with the customers. Then you build the product, but this can of course be done earlier as well, depending on your idea and what stage you are in now. Then you go to market, you grow and expand, and you are mature. And there are different fundings for each of these stages of a startup. So for the phase where most of you are in now, explore the concepts and validate the idea, we usually do something that is called pre-seed funding. This can be grants, loans, startup awards, prizes, or crowdfunding where people pay for the development of your product. And these funding opportunities is something that we call non-equity. This means that you get the money with kind of no strings attached. So the people giving you the money, they don't take shares in your company. They will not take a board seat in your company. This is just a grant or a loan that you pay back or an award that you get without having to give up anything of your company. And then later, when it comes to building the product and go to market, we do seed funding usually. This can still be grants and loans and awards and crowdfunding, but also investors, angel investors who take a huge risk early on, and venture capital. And this can be non-equity with the grants and loans and awards, or equity, meaning that the investors will take a share of your company, but they will also often pay you more. Then in the grow and expand phase, and when you're mature, it's more investors, venture capital, corporate venture capital, or merger and acquisitions. And these are often always equity-based, meaning that the investors will take a share of the company, board seats in a company, and they may also decide in which direction your company will go. So what I often recommend people is to don't look for investors before you have to, but look for funding that is non-equity based. Can you get some grants, some loans, some awards to develop your first prototype? And wait until you really need the big money where you need to hire people to go to investors. And I would also recommend you to think of, what do you need the money for? Maybe you need to build a prototype to show to customers. You need to build a minimum viable product, early product, or maybe you need some Amazon Web Service credits to start building your product, or something else. All these are relatively small things that you can get funded by awards and grants. But when you need to hire people to continue developing your product, then maybe you need more money, and that may be a more suitable time to go for angel investors. So these topics were basically what I wanted to tell you today. Some final thoughts, or maybe a summary, would be to talk to your users and customers. Probably the most important thing, to validate if your idea can be a startup, a business opportunity. Then work out your business model. And this is a process that will take a long time. You won't get it right the first time, but start somewhere. Build your team. This is something you can start with already now, but it can continue for years to build the right team, a strong team. And apply for awards and grants that are non-equity based. I'm sure you will get that somewhere. And this is also varying from country to country. So look at how these things are working in your country as well. Now, if you want to learn more about entrepreneurship at CERN, what kind of support we offer, have a look at our webpage. We in the startup team, we are happy to have a discussion with all potential founders at CERN. So please reach out to us if you want to. If you're not at CERN, there are other opportunities to get help. Many incubators are offering help to startups, and you can also find a lot of resources online. Thank you. And if you have questions, I'm sure we can take these as well. We can't hear you, Sasha.
Sorry, I was muted. Silje, thank you so much for this structured presentation. I was making notes on my own while listening to you. So thank you so much for that. And as you mentioned before, I would like to refer to our participants here on the call together with us. If they have any questions, please go ahead and ask them. This is a unique opportunity to get an answer from Silje. Okay, maybe I will start first with a question, and later on maybe someone will join us. Silje, I wanted to ask you actually the following. Because often it is a case when you have an idea and you start knocking at each and every door, looking for collaborators or for people who might potentially support you financially, and then you get just a negative replies, or you don't get any replies at all. What can you do in this situation not to lose faith in your idea, not to lose your motivation, and not stop working on your idea further?
Yeah. So I will say the first thing I would recommend is to have someone on your team that is working with you. It is so much easier when you work together with someone else than working alone. If I go alone and knock on people's doors and I always get a no, that will for sure be demotivating. But if you're a team of people, a few people that believes in your idea, then it's much easier to continue working. And you will get plenty of no's. There will be so many people that either don't like your idea or they don't get the idea. Maybe this is just the case as well, that they don't have the background knowledge that you have, so they don't know that this is actually a great thing. So you will get plenty of no's. Be prepared for that. But the one yes you get will be so worth it when you've had plenty of no's as well. So I would just recommend to team up with some people that you know will support you, and then just continue until you get the yes, basically.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Silje. So does anyone else want to ask a question? Or maybe share an experience you had before? I think, Silje, your presentation was so informative and good structured that there are no questions left.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If there are no questions, Silje, we would like to thank you very, very much for joining us, for spending your time and giving this how-to. I'm sure it was very useful. Can also say it from my side. Thank you so much, and we wish you a nice evening.
Thank you so much as well. It was a pleasure joining you.
Thank you.